Okay, welcome to Manatee Tiger Bay, and thank you so much for being here today. We are going to have a great program and a great discussion. I am your moderator, Xtavia Bailey, the president of Manatee Tiger Bay. We will now have the Pledge of Allegiance by LTC, Lieutenant Colonel of the Eagle, is it the Eagle Region? Regiment, I'm sorry, Cassandra Bryan. She's going to head our Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I love when they come and do the pledge and then they run away. Please give her a round of applause. She did a great job. I love that Sarasota Military Academy brings their kids in and they're learning and they're preparing them for the future. She is a senior, so she will be leaving this year, but I know I had a little conversation with her and I think she's going to impact this world tremendously. Please give her another round of applause. Right now, I just want to acknowledge some people in our community that do great things. John Horn is our new Leadership Florida president. He's making history over here. We have Jackie Dzelski, president, Manatee Chamber of Commerce. We have Gina Messenger, school board member, District Number 1. We have Mary Foreman, School Board District Number 3. We have Dr. Scott Hopes, who is the new county administrator. Doug Wagner, he is the deputy superintendent for the school district. We have Mary Glass, president, Manatee Education Foundation. And of course, we have our superintendent, Cynthia Saunders. And if I missed anybody, blame it on the ghost in the back of me, okay? So today we have our speakers, GARIN C. Hoover with Hoover Realty and real estate broker and attorney. We have Ernie Withers with Ford Manatee, who is the co-chair. And we also have Cynthia Saunders, superintendent of Manatee County Schools. I want to ask you all really quick before we introduce our speakers to the microphones to please silence your cell phones. And if you think you silenced, can you check them again? I appreciate it. The topic for today is the 1 mil referendum for education renewal. Our first speaker is going to be Cynthia Saunders, our superintendent for Manatee County Schools. All of the bios are on our websites. We do that so we can allow more time for our speakers and for you all to ask questions. So please give our superintendent with Manatee County Schools a round of applause as she comes to the microphone. Thank you so much.
Thank you for inviting me today to come and speak about this very important issue. There are so many reasons why I could say why I truly believe we should continue this renewal, but the main reason I want to specify is that it's working. Why can I state that it's working? Why do I truly believe that it is? And it's because when the voters approved this initiative in 2018, they laid out very specific items that they expected this money to be used for, and it has been. One reason, and one that's very significant to our success, is the 30 extra minutes of instruction. That 30 extra minutes has been occurring in Sarasota County for 20 years. We were definitely at a disadvantage, which is why we know that we needed to add that Manatee County. The referendum dollars allows us to pay our employees that extra amount of time of work. And when a child starts in kindergarten and matriculates all through 12 years of school, that equates to 1 additional year of instruction. Think about that today, especially with the pandemic. More instruction is definitely needed. Our students that have disadvantages, that more instructional time is needed. That has occurred with the one meal. In addition to that, we promised that the majority of the funds would go to paying for our teachers. And 51% of those dollars have gone for our teacher instructional pay. All of that information is listed and is very transparent. It is listed on our district website. We also have a Citizens Oversight Committee that has ensured that those dollars have gone in that category. In addition, we made sure that 19% of the funds would go to improve the pay for other staff. Those staff members are those that touch students each and every day. It's not for district administration. It's not for people that work at the PSC or the SSC, but it's our bus drivers, our custodians, our cafeteria workers. The referendum has enhanced their salaries as well. It is working because we also committed to 15.5% of those dollars going toward our STEM and workforce initiatives. And if you haven't seen what we've done at Palmview Elementary, I ask that you go and look at that, as well as our millage minutes that are located on our district website. We are the first career pathway school with a Steve Wozniak initiative, and that initiative has now been expanded to other schools such as Ballard and all of our elementary schools this year. Really exciting things. It's working because we also committed to give funds to our charter schools for their teachers, and their students also should receive the increase of funds so that they're able to pay their staff and improve those initiatives as well. It is working because I can tell you today our academic success has improved. And it's not just me stating what I feel, what I think, but if you look at our scores and you look at some of these initiatives in 2018 before the referendum came to pass, you will notice that we can state that it's working. We no longer have any DNF schools. Our academic rating in 2018 was 33rd in the state. Today we're ranked 23rd in the state. Now, can you say it's a sole result of the millage? No. I don't know that you can say it's a sole result of one thing. But I can tell you this. By increasing our instructional day, by ensuring that our teachers are paid a competitive salary so they're choosing to stay in Manatee County or come to Manatee County instead of some of the others, it is having a positive impact on our outcomes. And all of that is stated, all of that is listed on our websites. In addition to that, you can see in our final report that's listed on our website from the Citizens Oversight Committee, we have been able to attract and retain employees. You can look at the numbers that are clearly stated in that report. I believe it's about 17 pages, but it is all listed there. In addition to that, we have support of our community. Many agencies have understood the impact and the need of attracting, retaining, and having a quality education system, and they have already pledged support behind this. I'm just going to name a few, but there are many listed. The Manatee Chamber of Commerce, the Bradenton Area Economic Development Corporation, the United Way Suncoast, the Manatee Community Foundation, the League of Women Voters, the Gulf Coast Builders Exchange, the Manatee Education Foundation, and many, many more. These community leaders would not stand behind this initiative if they did not think it was working and making a difference. Why do we need the extra meal? Because all the programs and all the things that we put in place that are being paid for by that would not be able to continue because the funds are not in our original budget. That is why. You may say, well, you have a lot of money in your budget. I hear that your budget is made up of $1 billion. Absolutely right. But over half of those dollars cannot be spent on salaries. Those dollars are used for building our buildings, replacing air conditioners, buying school buses. So when you whittle down the $1 billion, it really does not equate to more than about $350 million that are paid for salaries and other operation expenses. And the bulk of that is already spent that way. One thing I think the community does not realize is that the state of Florida sets the education millage rate. And in 2016, that rate was set at 4.6 mills. Today, it's 3.7. That additional mill just keeps our finances equal to where we were 5 years ago. That is why we need that mill to be set, because without that, we're going backwards. The great thing about the referendum is that all of the funds that are raised stay here and go for the purpose that's stated on that language. Most of all, it is working. So let's keep it going. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Superintendent Cynthia Saunders. That was very informative, and thank you for staying within my time. I appreciate it. Next, we will have Ernie Withers with Forward Manatee, the co-chair. Please give him a round of applause as he comes forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you for inviting us here today. Thank you, Superintendent Saunders. I'm the co-chair of Forward Manatee along with Dr. Denise Davis Cotton, and I'm supporting the referendum because I have both a personal and business stake in the game, and so do you. My family has close to 50 extended family members that are products of the Manatee County school system. I was talking to Mike Barber earlier, and he said he thinks that that's a record. So I don't know if it is or not, but we have a lot of people that are currently attending the schools and are part of the district. My family has a long history of supporting our county school district, and I know firsthand why we need to renew this referendum. But today, in my short time, I'm going to talk about business. As the past chairman of the Manatee Chamber of Commerce and a past board member of the Economic Development Council, and many other, I know why the Chamber and many organizations have endorsed the referendum renewal. There's several reasons I'd like to talk to you about, and the first reason is competition. In running any business, we have to stay competitive to hire quality staff and provide a quality product. It's the same with our schools, especially now with the national teacher shortage. We're in competition with Sarasota, Pinellas, and other 19 districts in Florida that have passed similar measures. But not only that, there's 67 other school districts in the state of Florida that we're in competition with for the talent. It just makes good business sense to make sure our teachers receive competitive pay and stay here in Manatee County. Reason number two is our workforce pipeline. How many of you have recently been to a restaurant and asked for the waiting time, and they tell you it's going to take you 45 minutes, and you look in the restaurant and you see half the tables are empty, and you're scratching your head, and they come back to you and say, I'm sorry, we just don't have the servers or the cooks to be able to help you. We cannot allow that to happen in our school system. So we have a shortage of skilled workers here. And by supporting the referendum, you're supporting an expansion of career, technical, and STEM programs, creating a direct pipeline from schools to job. We need to keep that going. And as Cynthia Saunders has said, it's working. Reason number three, economic development. Again, I mentioned to you, I served on the board of the Bradenton Area Economic Development Council. And imagine if you're running a business and thinking of expansion and relocating to this area. The EDC works tirelessly in recruiting businesses to the area, to locate to the area. And one of the things that the businesses want to know is, what's your school system like? Okay, Manatee County's passed this voter referendum in 2018, and we cannot afford to go backward, allowing our neighboring counties to have an unfair competitive advantage. That is not the message we want to send. Businesses want to locate to areas that have a quality school system. Reason number four is our employees. The school district is the largest employer in the county with 6,600 employees. I'm happy to report that all the money raised by this referendum stayed here and circulated back into the community. If the referendum renewal fails, teachers, staff, students will be affected. Teachers will get a $5,000 pay cut pending union negotiation. School office workers, custodians, bus drivers, and staffing that currently receive monies from this referendum will all receive a pay cut. Can you imagine in your business today where you work with the prospects of your employees thinking about you may receive a $5,000 or a $2,000 a year pay cut during these economic times? That hurts all of us. The school board will not be able to find the money elsewhere because it just doesn't exist, as Superintendent Cynthia Saunders just explained to you. And finally, even people without children in school should support this. That's because public education impacts all of us. Quality education equates to quality of life issues such as community safety, incomes, better jobs, raising property values, and visitor attractions. Today's students are Manatee's future pharmacists, construction workers, restaurant workers, nurses, electricians, technicians, and engineers. Investing in the next generation is a time-honored American tradition and a community-wide responsibility. And I trust the Citizens Financial Oversight Committee to make sure it's been spent wisely. Finally, how can you help? Well, here's what you can do. Spread the word, spread the facts, not rumors. Tell your friends, tell your colleagues, neighbors to vote yes for the renewal. Participate. Our campaign manager, Susan Harrigan, is sitting right over here. If you would like to participate and be involved, please reach out to her and she'll get you involved and we'll keep you in the loop. Make a contribution. I personally contributed my personal funds, not my business funds, to the Forward Manatee program. Go to forwardmanatee.com. We're asking you for your support. Be part of something that's truly good for our entire community. I support the referendum because it's working. I hope you will too. Early voting is October 23rd to 30th. Please vote yes. I appreciate it. Thank you for the time.
Thank you so much, Ernie. Would you guys give him another round of applause? Next, we will have up, I'll get that. And thank you, Ernie, for staying within your time also. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, next we'll have up GARIN C. Hoover with Hoover Realty, real estate broker and attorney. Please give him a round of applause as he comes forward.
Good afternoon, everyone. So the district put out a video recently called Facts Matter, and we all agree that facts do matter, and more importantly, all the facts matter. And the first thing I want to bring to your attention is I didn't hear too much about teachers in the proposal from the people pushing a tax on Manatee County. Teachers are essential employees in Manatee County. They deserve to be put first in the budget. They aren't. They have to depend on a temporary tax for a portion of their revenues, their compensation. Bad policy. They should have never done that to begin with. Why would you put an essential employee subject to a temporary tax? That is bad management. It's wrong, and it's a disvalue to our teachers. I submit what you do is you do zero-based budgeting. You put the entire teacher compensation in the general budget first. That's what you do. If you value teachers, you will put their compensation in the budget first, and then you look at the rest and see what you can do. 3.5 years ago, when this tax was first passed, I asked the district, after it passed, to focus on our teachers, put them and make sure their compensation, that they aren't put in this predicament again. What have they done in the last 3.5 years? Nothing. Why? Because it's designed that way. They want you to feel empathetic. And by the way, I submit to you, the money is there. Now, if a past board chairman actually once said that there was 10% low-hanging fruit. Did he ever do anything about it? No, didn't do anything about it. This district has never looked at their $1 billion budget. If they did, they can find more money. But we're going to get into even more specifics of that. But I just want you to know that for the last 6 years, if you look at the budget, and since Mr. Withers brought up business sense, and by the way, I did ask him if he ever looked at the budget. He did say he hadn't, but if he would, you would see that if you look at the instructional services, this is in the general fund, you'll hear the district talk about other categories. I'm talking strictly the one bucket that matters, and that's instructional pay for teachers. For the last 6 years, they budgeted $13 million extra for teachers that they never gave to teachers. Why is that? Where did that money go? So this year, by the way, they budgeted $33 million over what they paid teachers last year. $33 million over. And this is above and beyond the millage money. They can look at becoming more efficient in their operations, zero-based budgeting. We also heard that talked about in the past. That's what they need to do. That's what a business person would want them to do. Look at your budget. The money is there. By the way, 3.5 years ago, they told us that they needed $33 million. By the way, half of that, $16.5 million, is what was for teachers. Now, the average, if this tax is passed, it'll be $53 million. So just 3.5 years ago, they requested $33 million. Now they want $53 million out of this community. I submit it's a money grab. We need to vote no on this and send a message to the board that we're tired of you just spending money and asking for way more. And by the way, a year ago, when they first started talking about this round, I got up in front of the board and I asked them to consider a half mill. Half mill will bring in $26 million. That's basically 76% of the original request of $33 million just 3.5 years ago. They never even discussed it. I asked them that, on look at the capital side, they talk about that capital side isn't used. That's true. However, the rest of the story is they got so much capital money coming in, they could reduce that the equivalent of $0.5 million as well, but reduce this $0.5 million, and they still have the money there. The money is there. It's a money grab. By the way, I served 3 years, a full 3-year term on the Citizens Financial Oversight Committee. For 3 years in a row, we concluded that there was no conclusive evidence that could show that this tax has worked. In fact, if you look at the best leading indicator of a school district, it's reading levels at 3rd grade. 51% of 3rd graders cannot read at grade level in this district. That's terrible. The chairman of the board recently said that that was academically stable. Property values have gone up so much money, they could have easily done a $0.5 million. By the way, doing this special election, wasting $400,000 this time around, they wasted $300,000 the last time around. They could have put it on a general ballot, but they chose not to. Why? It's deliberate. They want to put the community in this predicament that you now see, that if you don't pass this, it's going to hurt our teachers. What a terrible thing to do to our teachers. Treat teachers better. Put them first in your budget. Do not put them in a situation where they have to depend on a temporary tax. By the way, the ERP system comes off the capital side, but it's very illustrative of how this district operates. Originally budgeted at $9.3 million, it's now up to $30 million. $30 million. By the way, their own top financial guy has even indicated if they switch to another proven software system that's used by 2/3 of the districts in the state of Florida, it would save $1 million a year. You never hear that. You always hear about they can't find the money, but they've never even looked at their budget. Do zero-based budgeting. This is such an obvious decision for the Manatee County voters to vote no on this tax referendum. By the way, a lot of things too that they say I think are misleading. And one of them is that renters aren't going to pay for this. Everyone in this room knows that when property taxes go up, they get passed on to renters. By the way, they also said that they can't use tax money for this special election. Well, they're claiming that they're using after-school care revenues to fund this, and that's not taxpayer money. Really? Whose buildings are they using to hold these daycare operations and the revenues that are generated from? That's our money. They're spending taxpayer money to fund this, even though they claim they aren't. By the way, we've had in the past bank accounts that with millions of dollars going in and out that weren't reconciled for many months. It happened in 2017. It happened again in 2020. It's a management problem, not a money problem. I urge everyone, read this orange sheet I passed out. If anyone has any questions afterwards, I'm happy to sit down with you. I even offered to sit down with Mr. Withers after this meeting, because I think if people hear both sides of this, they'll realize this is a money grab. $33 million is what the request was. Only half of that was to teachers 3.5 years ago. Now it's going to, on average, up to $53 million. I urge everyone in this community, I just want to finish up and say one thing. I want to teach you a concept called presumed integrity. And what that means is that everyone, and by the way, I'm a victim of it too when I first started following this district 4 years ago. I never thought that people dealing with children would do deliberate things. I just thought, it's just incompetence. Other people told me, no, it's deliberate. Well, now I've seen it firsthand. It's wrong. And I asked this community, let's stop enabling a school district that is run terribly. Millions of dollars at stake. Why put senior citizens, and why reward or enable a school district that hasn't shown it's been prudent in the first place? Thank you very much, and vote no on November 2nd. Thank you.
Thank you, Garin. Please give him another round of applause. Now, questions and answers. This is for members only. You must be a member to be able to ask a question to the panel. To ask a question, again, you must be a member of Manatee Tiger Bay. To become a member, see Tanya. Wave your hand, Tanya. She's at the registration desk. Give us your name as you come to the microphone. If you are a member, please state that you are a member, state your question, and to which speaker you want to direct your question to. Members, to allow everyone a chance to ask a question, you are limited to 30 seconds. Only ask the question. Please do not elaborate. Allow our panelists to be able to answer your question, and that way we'll be able to get to more questions. Now, I do have questions that came in from a couple of members that are not able to come in due to health issues, but if you are asking a question, please start moving to the microphone. The first question, she's actually a teacher, a retired teacher. Will the district be able to pull some of the excess monies in the general fund balance to compensate teachers while they are working to prioritize their budget? Do we think, and I put this together because some of these questions were the same, do we think this is the best option to put a portion of a teacher's compensation as part of a temporary tax? The end of that question is, What happens if the tax does not pass?
Thank you for that question because I think it's a very valid question. And that is really what we're here about today. We do use the excess money. We do start with a zero-based budget. We start our budgeting process in the spring. As you know, the legislature completes the final budget of what we receive in May. So we're starting early with a zero-based budget, and then we make adjustments based on the revenues that we're anticipating to receive. As I stated earlier, the tax allowance for our district for education has been reduced from 2016 to date by almost 1 mil. So by reducing that, it means our revenue source has been declining. We do and have given teacher raises over the last 5 years out of our operation budget. So any of the excess dollars that we have are negotiated every year with the union. This year, our excess budget that was not allocated is $6.4 million. And those dollars will be allocated and given to teachers and all employees after that whole union negotiated process is completed and the board votes upon it. What we are bringing in from the millage tax equates to around, for teachers in 1 year, $24 million. As you can see, it does not balance. 6.4 million is not the same thing as 24 million. We agree 100%. It should not be based on a special tax. We shouldn't have to levy a special tax. It should be in our base funding that we receive from the state. Unfortunately, that is not the case. Since those dollars have declined because the tax base has declined, they do allow districts and communities to choose to levy that extra 1 mil to stabilize those funds. And we're just grateful that Manatee County is one of the 20 that have chosen to do so.
Do you want to go ahead?
I don't know if I heard an answer to the question. The question was, I believe, was what would happen if this doesn't pass? So I submit to you the money is there. They want to use fear to get voters out and be empathetic. That's what they do. It's by design. She mentioned $24 million. That's based on the new tax. But again, let's go back to 3.5 years ago. It was 33 million. Half of that, 16.5 million is what were for teachers. So again, it's a money grab. They have the money. By the way, she also said they've done zero-based budgeting. No, they haven't. And if she thinks she has, she doesn't know what zero-based budgeting is. They've never done it. And that's part of the problem that I see is that teaching in a classroom is a certain skill set. But managing a $1 billion organization is a different skill set. It's totally different. That's part of the problem. Our superintendent has gone up the ranks. She never had to compete for the current job. She didn't have to compete for the job before that. It's a different skill set. The skill set works in the classroom. It's great. Teachers do a great job in the classroom. But managing a $1 billion budget, that's part of the problem. It's a different skill set. They haven't done zero-based budgeting. Please, I ask all of you in this community, look at this district. Follow them. I've attended or watched every board meeting in the last 4 years. You will not be pleased with what you see, how things are run. Thank you.
Now, what I will do is allow you to respond if you like to.
I can. And you're right, Mr. Hoover. I didn't clearly state the monies are not there. If the millage tax ends after this year, there will be a reduction of employee pay. We do not have the funds in our operating budget to move to take the place of what the millage does, just like Sarasota County and the other counties that have had this millage tax in place. It is unfortunate, but that is what would occur. And since you do know we have a Citizens Oversight Committee that has gone over our millage, we do have an audit committee that audits our finances. We have paid auditors and state auditors every year that look at our books. I can assure you, K-12 finances are quite different than your finances of your home or private sector. It is completely different, and we are an A-rated financial institution. Our monies are well intact. We exceed the state revenue requirement. We are solid financially, and there is no evidence that is showing otherwise. Thank you.
So one thing, again, as I mentioned earlier, all the facts matter. The audits that are done at such a high level view. If you look at any auditor report, they'll tell you there's a disclaimer that they aren't doing the internal controls. There's a difference between an overall audit versus going in-depth looking at internal controls. Ask anybody that does auditing for a business. And proof in point, our state institution to the north, USF, had $12.8 million of money embezzled that just came out this year. Those books were audited too. It didn't show up. Why? Because it's a different level that they're looking at things.
Good.
Good afternoon. I'm Jim Daniel. I am a member of Tiger Bay Club. I want to ask a question of Mr. Hoover about two particular personnel issues that I've seen happen in the last year. We had friends of ours that had moved away because the husband is involved in military security, and they went to Virginia for a while and then came back to Manatee County. His wife has been a teacher here for 15 years, master's, team leader, rated exceptional teacher. She came back and she looked at the pay raises, even with this bill in place. She went to work in Sarasota County because they offered her quite a bit more. So the first part of the question is, if we're already behind the people that are coming in that know Manatee, that want to work in Manatee and go to Sarasota, how in the world can we cut out another $25 million in compensation? The second part is my son Keith is a teacher at Sugg Middle School. And Keith is been there quite a few years. I don't know exactly how many, but he's also been at times rated an exceptional teacher. He's very diligent. I get to see what he puts into it. And he's sitting there and he came to me and asked me, well, what's going to happen to my pay? Now, I'm an auditor. I have at least a little working knowledge of school finances. And so I want to ask you directly, forget budgets. They're a fantasy. I want to hear about expenditures and where the money's spent. You talked about you've been on the committee for 3 years. Where is those funds going to come from? You said that you just take them and grab them and move them over. Well, I'd like to know where. Because we've got people that are qualified that want to work in Manatee County that aren't. We've got people that are qualified working in Manatee County that are thinking about leaving. And Keith is thinking very seriously, looking at what Sarasota's paying, and he's saying, why am I doing this? So, you know, now you want to take away a tool to help address those salary issues. I want to know where the money's coming from.
Thank you so much. That is a great question. Mr. Hoover, you have the floor.
Thank you for that question. So actually, I did answer it in part already. And I can't answer about that individual other teacher. That could be anecdotal. But if you look at the general fund, instructional services, this is on top of millage money for the last 6 years. I could have gone back more. I went back 6 years. They budgeted at the beginning of the year $13 million more.
Not to deal with budgets. I want to hear expenditures.
No, but that shows the money is there. You have a financial background. The money is there. Look at the budget. I'm willing to bet you've never looked at it. If you look at the budget, instructional services, which includes teacher pay, $13 million on average, has been budgeted for teachers and not given to teachers. There's your money right there. This year alone, I mentioned, they spent $300 million last year in instructional services. This year, just last month, they budgeted $333 million in that account. There's $33 million. This is on top of the millage money, sir, on top of it. So it's there. So you can't tell me not to look at the budget, because if you look at the budget, and I guarantee you haven't seen that, if you look at it, you'll find what I'm talking about is true. It's there. Thank you.
Can I ask Superintendent Saunders a question in relation to that? Sure. I believe she stated that the actual excess at the end of the year was 6.4 million, not 33. So again, the question is, between that 6.4 and the 33, where's that other $27 million going to come from if it's not? I mean, this is real money, not budgets. Where's it going to come from?
The fund source that he's speaking about, our general revenue comes in, and then grant dollars are added on top of that. As you know, Title I is a federal grant. We also have ESE dollars that are grant dollars. Those can only be spent specifically to those areas. We cannot use those for salary enhancements. Our excess that we're able to use this year is $6.4 million. That will be negotiated. It will be given to salary compensation, but it will not come anywhere near close to the dollars that have been added that the millage provides. So you're right, Sarasota is 20 years ahead of us. We certainly can't afford to go backwards, as Mr. Withers already stated, by losing any revenue that we're bringing in. Thank you.
So again, the $33 million I was referring to is in this year's budget. All you have to do is go back 1 month ago, last month, that's when the budget was approved by the board. It has $33 million budgeted, which means you wouldn't budget the money unless you had it for instructional services, and that includes teacher pay. Thank you.
So Kevin Chapman and I, we spoke with the Economic Development Council. And during our presentation, we talked to several of the people, and one of the board members served on the oversight committee, and he overwhelmingly supported this referendum renewal. Another board member said this is a no-brainer. So he served on the same oversight committee as Darren did, and if Garin was on that for 3.5 years, I just wonder what inroads he has made to convince other people in the community to vote no for it. Because most of the people that I have talked to in the community and the boards and associations that I've been have supported this referendum, and so we're asking you to vote yes.
If anyone else has a question, please come to the microphone. Please come to the microphone.
Hi, Renee James Gilmore, ABC 7, and we are members.
I know.
My question is, Mr. Hoover, within the budget, if things could change when you talk about poor management, what could the district be doing differently that would alleviate even the discussion about increasing or passing this referendum?
So as I mentioned, 3.5 years ago, I stood before the board after this tax passed, and I said, look, let's put our teachers first. Don't put them in this predicament. Yet here we are once again. The Citizens Financial Oversight Committee, which I served that full 3-year term, just so you know, originally, this board passed a resolution that gave the Citizens Financial Oversight Committee to look at all of the district's finances, all of it. Then the tax passes, and wouldn't you know, within 3 months of that tax passing, the board restricts the Citizens Financial Oversight Committee that we could only look at millage dollars. What a terrible thing to do. They sold this tax on the Independent Oversight Committee looking at all the district's finances once the tax passed. What did they do? They took it away from us. Allow the Citizens Financial Oversight Committee to look at all of the district finances, because we would help, we really would. In fact, the Citizens Financial Oversight Committee, by a majority vote, after they did this, we passed a motion that said, we asked the board, please give us that authority back. They didn't do it. Why? Because they don't want people looking at their finances. They don't. That's the sad state that we're in right now. I urge everyone, vote no on November 2nd.
Any other questions? Come on down. Yes, Mr. Piper.
Hi, Ken Piper, I am a member. We read that the school attendance has dropped by 1,140 kids this year. So that means less reimbursement from the state, as I understand it. So the first thing we did in looking at the budget is that they cut teachers. I mean, the principals remain the same, the support staff remain the same. But the priority in cutting was teachers. And with zero-based budgeting, it would seem as though that would have been the last place that you would have cut. In other words, cut the guy that's mowing the lawn rather than the teacher who's trying to do something. And wouldn't there have been a way to shift those teachers, or as it's called in the budget, units around so that they could help us with the third grade reading level? Ms. Saunders first, Mr. Wither second, and Garin third.
Okay. I'm not exactly certain what you are looking at. Our attendance has grown by 2,000 students since the first day of school. The state projected that we would have a decline. They rolled back everyone because of the pandemic, which was very unusual. We did anticipate that we would have over 50,000 students, and we did. So we have exceeded the state original formula. We go by the class size amendment, so all of our schools are staffed based on the anticipated student enrollment that the state sets. That number is set sometime in January, and that's how we begin our zero-based budget that starts in February. The state gives you a number of anticipated number of students. It's all a guesstimate based on growth and trends and projections, and that's where you begin your budget. Then you actually see what shows up. And then you have something called the 10-day count. And that 10-day count, they do make adjustments. We do get Survey 2, which happens in October, and then they do readjust finances based on that. But we have to staff our schools based on the number they set, based on the class size amendment formula. K to 3, we're at 18 students per class. Fourth grade through middle school is 22 students per class. High school courses are set at 25. So that is how the number of teachers are set, and it's based on that formula. Thank you.
So thank you for that question. I know you said the teachers are the most important thing, and I totally agree. Teachers are our most important resource in Manatee County. But the fact remains that if this referendum fails, the teachers are going to lose $5,000 in salary subject to union negotiation. But let me tell you a story. There's an office worker at Braden River Elementary School that gets $90 a paycheck, and they get paid twice a month. So they get $180 from this referendum. An office worker doesn't make a lot of money, but that $180 that she has the potential of losing is heartfelt. And she's concerned. And she needs our support to make sure that this referendum gets passed. Would we like to see it in the budget like Mr. Hoover says? Absolutely. But right now, we're not in that position, and we cannot afford to skip a year to affect our custodians, our office workers, and our teachers. We cannot afford to do that. You've seen in the community right now, different workplaces, You see what's going on in California right now, the shortages of truckers and warehouse workers and forklift drivers, and that there's a backup of all those goods and services. If this referendum fails, you will see a mass exodus of our teachers, as the gentleman said earlier. We can't afford to have that competitive unbalance in our district. So you got to vote yes. We have to pass this referendum. You got to do it for that office worker at Braden River Elementary. You need to do it for our teachers, and I support it, and I ask you to support it. Vote yes.
One thing I have told people throughout this whole process is, again, they don't value teachers. They say they do, but watch their actions. They don't. Why aren't they putting their salaries subject to a tax? Why put it on teachers? Even if you look at the general fund, the amount of money that's not spent on teachers, put that up for a tax. Don't do, and by the way, the superintendent, she makes her $200,000 a year. She received an $18,000 bonus this year. That wasn't subject to a temporary tax. Why is it that teachers have to be put in this predicament? Because they don't value teachers, and their only weapon to push this tax is fear. They want you to be scared. That's the only argument they have, is that, and it's sad because they don't value teachers. I just want to make one other comment. In the Citizens Financial Oversight Committee, and Mr. Horn can verify this, they had so much money that they couldn't even spend it all. I brought this up to the superintendent. Her comment to me was, don't worry, we'll find something to spend it on. Bad answer, bad answer. And by the way, 1 year ago, I went before the board and asked for that $500,000, and they could have done that. They could have done that. That would have been easy. I don't even think they need that, but they could have done it. They chose to ignore that because they want to get the money grab. It's all about grabbing more of your hard-earned tax dollars. Thank you. Vote no.
Okay, I'm going to take the last two questions. As you answer the questions, please keep your answers to about 15 seconds so I can get out on time. I like getting out on time. Ms. Sanders.
Good afternoon, Nancy Sanders, board member of Tiger Bay and also retired National Board Certified Teacher. My question is for our superintendent. 20 some odd years ago, I applied for a job teaching in Sarasota County and also Manatee County. I was hired by Sarasota County where I spent 23 years. The reason I selected the job in Sarasota was because of the disparate salaries. Superintendent, could you tell us currently what the difference in salaries is and what it might be between Sarasota and Manatee County, which would impact the teachers coming and choosing either county when they decide where to go to work? Thank you.
Absolutely. Right now, the average salary in Sarasota County is $61,000. Ours is $52,000. With the referendum, we were able to get our salary up to that range. In 2018, before it, our teachers made $38,000. We cannot compete with counties that have had a referendum in place that have a bigger base of operational dollars to put toward a salary. Pinellas and Sarasota are the two that have had these millages for almost 20 years, and that is why our teacher salaries are much lagging. We're catching up, we're doing better, but we do make substantially less.
Okay, my name is Mike Barber, and I'm a member of Tiger Bay. In full disclosure, I do work for the school district. I have a question for Mr. Hoover. My understanding is that 90% of teacher pay comes out of the general fund, and so the millage pays for approximately 10% of their pay. And you say that the district does not value teachers. So my question to you is, how do you value students if you're willing to do away with this millage, which provides 30 minutes of additional instruction each day for our students, 50,000 students, just for the name of moving those additional 10% funds to the general fund?
I want to comment on the previous question because I didn't get a chance to do that. So because of our great governor in the state of Florida, Ron DeSantis, and our legislature, the minimum starting salary is $47,500. And by the way, the superintendent said at a board meeting just about 8 months ago that we now have the highest starting salary in the entire state. She did say maybe with the exception of Miami-Dade, but she thought it was the highest in the state. The question was asked, well, where would we be otherwise? We'd be in the middle. So I just wanted to give a shout out to our great governor on that. And then I just, as far as the 30 minutes go, again, the Citizens Oversight Committee looked at, we had a group called the Data Analytics Group. We looked at the measurements and we concluded that we could not conclude, this is 3 years in a row, we could not conclude that this tax helped anything of the stated outcomes that they were generating. Again, 51% of third graders cannot read in Manatee County. Those are not good statistics. That is the best leading indicator whenever evaluating it. The Citizens Financial Oversight Committee concluded there's no direct evidence. They say it does, but other than saying it, it's just words. We actually looked at it as a committee and we could not conclude. You can go to the district website and look at the cover letter page of the Citizens Financial Oversight Committee, and you'll see it says we could not conclude there was any evidence. Again, it's a money grab. I wish if people knew, I wish I could convey all the knowledge I have, and I'm willing to sit down. Anyone just call me up. I'll be happy to talk with you anytime. But if you learn more about this, you'll see that it's a money grab and it's bad management. It's not a money problem. It's a management problem. That's the part of the problem. Thank you. Vote no.
Hi, I'm John Horn, and I am a member of the Clemson Tiger Club as well as the Manatee Tiger Club. Just want to make that clarification right off the bat.
Never miss the opportunity.
Never miss the opportunity. I served on the Oversight Committee with GARIN and Susan and quite a few wonderful people. I was vice chair and chair of the committee, and I think I missed one meeting over 3 years. We wanted to, and I'll ask you a question, believe me. Our whole thing, I disagree with a lot of things Garin has said that came out of the Oversight Committee, and that's why I'm bringing it up. It was hard to have any conclusions the first year because the tax wasn't collected the first year. The second year, you have no barometer to look at. So when we said there were no conclusion, it's because we couldn't put absolute solidity on what the tax was doing. Ours was to make sure it was collected, spent the way it was collected, and spent the way it was put forward in the referendum. That we did. We did show that there were positive things on, what's the word when people don't come back? Retention, that's the word. And also the number of people, the number of teachers we didn't have. How many empty classrooms were there? How many substitutes were using? So all of those numbers were all in a positive. Can you say it was all because of the referendum dollar? Absolutely not. Can you say it's because superintendent is wonderful? Absolutely not. Can you say it's not because of that? No. So that was our answer, is why we said you cannot conclusively say that the referendum has done this, if I'm correct. So that is my point. I don't think you were 100% truthful, Garin, in some of the things you said that the Oversight Committee deducted. We wanted to spend our time on the money coming in, not on every bit of the budget. I wouldn't want anybody looking at my budget. I'm asking you, I'm making my point to you, so you can certainly respond.
And he'll have an opportunity.
Yes. But we were looking at the money coming in. That's what we were taxed to do, and said, the money's coming in, we've established an oversight committee, we will look at this money, the referendum money, and that's what will make sure it was collected, it was spent properly, and then we were to look and to see what results we got for the extra half an hour, for the extra pay for the teachers, and the other 49% of that money. So I think by seeing how many of the people that were on the the oversight committee are in favor of this tax, I think it speaks more than saying we couldn't find out if it was worth it or not. It was worth it.
Oh,
Yes, just, my question was, am I correct?
Okay, hold on. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna bring you to the podium. I want you to answer the question. I'm gonna give you 30 seconds. Then I want you to end with why they should vote. So I want you to conclude, okay, and tell them why they should not vote for the tax. And then I want you to come up and tell them why they should vote. And that's how we'll end the program, okay? Mr. Hoover, you have the floor.
So I respectfully disagree with your assessment. Again, you were part of the decision to approve that cover letter that we did. And there were two functions of the Citizens Financial Oversight Committee, the money coming in, but also does it achieve the outcomes that were desired? We could not conclude that. And again, if you want to look at the best indicator in Manatee County, 51% of third graders, and actually, by the way, that went backwards recently. So we have more third graders that cannot read, and that's the best indicator you could ever look at. And another point I wanted to just bring up, or let me just sum up why I think voters should vote no on this tax. We've had enough of mismanagement, I think, and I'm urging people to vote no. And it would send a message to this board and to this school district that we are tired of you not doing financially prudent things. We're tired of you not putting teachers first. Put your pay subject to a temporary tax. Don't do that to teachers. That's terrible. What a terrible thing to do to your most essential employees. Why would you ever put them in that predicament? It's bad management. Even the chairman of the current chairman of the board agreed last week that that's not sound fiscal policy to put teachers in that position. By the way, feel free, if you know a teacher, ask them what they think of the management of this school district. They won't say it publicly. Why? Because they operate in fear, retaliation. But if you ask them privately. Ask them what they think of upper management. They won't tell you great things. They won't. Just ask them. I urge everyone to vote no on November 2nd. It's the right thing to do. Send a message to the board. Treat our teachers right. Put them first in the budget. And that's the only way you're going to send that message to this school board and this administration. Thank you very much.
So I'd like to thank Tiger Bay for inviting us here today, and really great getting to hear his side of the position here, the referendum. And it's obviously he's very passionate in what he believes, and I respect you for that. So thank you so much for doing that. I've been involved in Manatee County school system for over 40 years. My wife, she was a graduate of Southeast High School. My mother-in-law was a graduate of Manatee High School in the early 40s. And I mentioned earlier, we have over 50 extended family members that are involved in the school systems. I have 2 extended family members that are current teachers right now. And I have talked to the teachers. And the teachers have overwhelmingly said, we need to vote yes for this. We need to vote yes. I haven't heard one teacher say, I don't want you to vote yes for this referendum. There's 6,600 employees in the Manatee County school system that wants to vote yes for this, plus their spouses. They want to vote yes for this. They're not opposed to this. So yeah, I have talked to them and I've heard it. And the attacks on the current administration, I've been involved with the Manatee County Chamber for 30 plus years. I've been personal friends with many of the superintendents in the past administrations. And we have had our challenges in our school district. But I can tell you that the challenges that we've had in our school district, those people aren't here anymore. And we've put oversight committees in place, and we've had auditors, and our school system's rated A now, our financial statement right now. When they asked me if I would serve on this committee, first off, I was honored to follow in John's footsteps. And the second was because I have such high respect for our superintendent, CYNTHIA Saunders. What she has done in these last few years has stabilized our district. Our people are happier. They do appreciate what they do. They're not fearful of Cynthia Saunders. Why that comment would be made, I'm not quite sure. All I hear is people that are happy, but yes, they want you to vote yes. And that's what I'm asking you to do. Please vote yes for this referendum. And I really appreciate the time to be able to speak with you today. Thank you.
I will end as I began. Thank you for allowing us the opportunity to come and discuss this very, very important topic that impacts our entire community. I say vote yes because it's working. We are making academic progress. The 30 extra minutes is going to help our third grade reading scores. There's no doubt about it. The state's at 54%. It is a state and national problem. We do need to do better, which is why we partner with our community foundations and members so that we can move the needle. We do know that some of our students are coming into school with challenges that they need far beyond our work day and our school day. But look at the strides that have been made. I can tell you this, the 30 extra minutes of instruction that we've added is certainly better than removing it. Having less time and less financial resources are not going to help us get where we're trying to get. Make this community stronger, continue what we put in place because it's working. Thank you.
Thank you so much to all of our speakers. Please give all of our speakers another round of applause. Thank you, GARIN. Thank you, ERNIE. Thank you, Cynthia Saunders. We appreciate both sides. It's very important to hear both sides when you're making a decision. So it's up to you now to make your decision. You've heard it, and you have to go to the polls and voice your opinion by voting. More than importantly, please go out and vote, whether you're voting no or whether you're voting yes. We need you to exercise that right, and we need you to go vote. I want to thank you all for coming to the luncheon today. Again, thank you to all the speakers, all of the boards of directors, and also my program committee. Our next luncheon is November 18th, Manatee County versus the pandemic. We invite you to become a corporate, nonprofit, or individual member. You can go to manateetigerbay.org to become a member. You also can see Tanya. Tanya, wave your hand if you want to become a member today. We also are signing and doing renewals for next year. We will not have a meeting in December because that's when we do our annual meeting, but we will be back January 2022 ready to go. So if you are becoming a member, you're going to become a member for January 2022. It would not be for the rest of the year because we only have one more meeting this year. Also, thank you to Pier 22 and the staff. We appreciate you. Charles Clapsaddle, METV, Dennis Cooley, Herald Tribune, and everyone that has came today. We appreciate you for coming. Please come back again. We'll see you next week, next month. Please, not next week. Please, thank you for coming and being a part of this discussion in our community. Have a great day, and thank you for joining Manatee Tiger Bay.